Keep this frequency clear. Keep this frequency clear.
CJAM. Redefining radio in Windsor, Detroit. We are 99.1 FM.
Keep this frequency clear.
Coming to you live from the MediaPlex in downtown Windsor, this is a presentation of St. Clair College Journalism.
It's Friday, and that means it's time for MediaPlex Live.
On CJAM 99.1, redefining radio in Windsor, Detroit. I'm Rylee Livingston.
I'm Zachary Balough.
I'm Maha, Hussien.
And you are in for a half hour of news, views, commentary, and maybe a few laughs. But first, the news.
The Windsor Port Authority Harbor Master does not expect to see flooding issues this year along the Detroit River like in previous years. Water levels for Lake St. Clair are forecast to be 5 to 14 inches below last year's levels.
The Faro Riverside Miracle Park will celebrate its opening day, May 14th. The ceremony will begin at the park at 11 a.m., followed by games beginning at 12 noon. The park is located on Wyandotte Street East between Janice and St. Rose Avenue. For more information, visit FaroRiversideMiraclePark.com.
It's the weekend, and Maha is here, and here's your chance to be a hero. What can we expect in the weather department?
On Saturday, there will be a high of 14, and it will be cloudy with a 40% chance of showers. On Sunday, there will be a high of 18, and it will be sunny and clear. Next week will be warmer, with temperatures between 23 and 29 degrees. That's it for weather. Eid al-Fitr was this week, and barbecue season is just around the corner.
You're listening to MediaPlex Live.
On CJAM 99.1, redefining radio in Windsor, Detroit.
On today's show, Crime Stoppers joins us.
We talk summer.
Morgan is here to spill some tea, again.
And like the line at Tim Hortons, the weird news is never ending.
All this and more on MediaPlex Live.
On CJAM 99.1 FM, the Jammin' One.
But first up today is our friends from Crime Stoppers with our weekly update.
Windsor and Essex County has recently experienced a rash of Cadillac converter thefts. Cadillac converters are costly to repair and a major inconvenience for the victims of these thefts. Anyone with information is asked to submit a tip by calling Crime Stoppers anonymously at 519-258-8477 or online at catchcrooks.com. With Crime Stoppers, you will remain anonymous, you do not have to attend court, and you may be eligible to receive a cash reward for up to $2,000. I am Police Coordinator Lauren Briscoe.
School's over, but we're still here. So 1 week into our summer, how's it going?
Pretty good. I got a chance to relax. Though the transition from being buried to your neck in work and not doing nothing at all, having it all be done, is pretty intense.
Yeah.
I woke up and I'm like, I need to go somewhere. What do I do?
Yeah.
Don't know what to do with yourself.
There's like another deadline I need to think about. It just felt so odd because we finished Friday and on Saturday morning I wake up and I'm like, what do I do?
Mm-hmm. I've just been sleeping in and doing a whole lot of nothing. That's been my week so far, and it's been very weird, not like rushing around trying to do things, not going out every day. It's been very odd.
Mm-hmm. It's weird for me too, and like I try to sleep in. I used to get up at 6:30, and I still wake up at 6:30, but try to go back to sleep. But I've been missing seeing people, right? Like I'm stuck in the house all day, don't see people, don't see any of you guys like I normally would. So it's nice to be back in studio.
Yeah, I miss my friends.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, it was May the 4th. It was May the 4th be with you. Yesterday was Cinco de Mayo. So Maha, how can you top that?
Today, May 6th, is National Space Day. This day was created to inspire us all to learn more about the vast universe and outer space that no wonder it has its own dedicated day. In the past, only astronauts could travel into space, but in recent years, civilians can now join them as well. Billionaires Richard Branson of Virgin, Jeff Bezos of Amazon, and Elon Musk of Tesla have now launched the Billionaire Space Race, in which they try to make space travel accessible to the general public. But that's if you have at least $250,000 to purchase a ticket for a 15-minute ride into the stratosphere and back to Earth. Celebrate today by staring and gazing at the stars at night, testing gravity by dropping different objects, or watching your favorite space movies. Happy National Space Day.
You know, I'm just going to go into my piggy bank and pull out $250,000 to go into outer space.
And for a trip that's truly out of this world, go for it.
So here's a question. What is a hobby? According to the internet, a hobby is an activity done regularly in one's leisure time for pleasure. Currently, some of the most popular hobbies are reading, working out, and watching TV or movies. Typically, when you think of hobbies, you think of things like stamp collecting or model trains. Are hobbies just anything we like to do for fun, or is there more to it than that? There's also a growing trend of people turning their hobbies into businesses. Some people enjoy this, and others think that it's a bad idea. What do you guys think? What are some of your interests, and do you consider them hobbies? Would you turn your hobbies or interests into a business?
My hobby is Lego, and I enjoy doing it for the record. I also see like a lot of people on social media open their own like independent Lego stores where they sell, new sets, retired sets, and just kind of like everything that has to do with Lego. Personally, I don't love it that much, but who knows, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Watching TV is my hobby. I have so much TV knowledge in my brain, so I definitely consider it something. Yeah. But I can't make any money off of it, which sucks.
Yeah.
I really, really wish I could. But I do think a lot of small businesses now stem from people turning their hobbies into businesses, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, when it also comes to that, binge watching could be considered a hobby.
It could be, yes.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially with the model, like it's changed. Instead of waiting week by week, you get them all in one go.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to wait a year.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I personally think it depends on the thing. I crochet, which I consider a hobby just for fun, but I recently had someone say that because I'm in PR, me doing music or the harp or being a musician is just a hobby, which really kind of insulted me, and I didn't really like because, it's more to it than that. And I think once you start turning your hobby into a business, it becomes a career and becomes more to you than that.
I'm sorry, I'll never say that to you again.
Yeah, it wasn't you, don't worry.
Let's join Kaitlyn Kenney as she explores the different topics, including mental health, relationships, and personal goal setting.
Welcome to the Think Tank, where I discuss topics I commonly think about relating to mental health, relationships, and personal goal setting. On this episode, I will be talking about setting goals and achieving them. Disclaimer, I'm not a social worker or any type of doctor. Don't take my content to heart. Life can get hard sometimes, whether you're in a hard spot or you're unsure how to achieve a specific goal in life and stuff like that. It's hard to sometimes feel motivated to do things that you're nervous about, like presentations, job interviews, or going out to a party. But there are some easy steps that you can take that will help calm you down and ensure that you're going to do your best in whatever you do. Quickly, for example, like getting enough sleep, preparing your lunch the day before, pre-planning what you will do each week, especially if you're in school, and getting up early to do assignments, etc. I have special guest on Ray Rivard, who is very passionate about setting goals and having positive attitudes. So Ray, what's the first thing you would do if you wanted to achieve a specific goal?
I use my phone for everything, to be honest. I set alarms for things. I try to manage my time better. So if it's something specific, I try to rate how important it is. If it's very important, like family or finances and stuff like that, I try to get real specific and actually make time per day for it. And if I can do that, then I'll usually be pretty successful. And if it's not something that's that important, let's say it's like, which should be more important, like exercise, which I'm not taking that important right now. So then I don't plan it, and then I only do it once in a blue moon, and it doesn't work as well. So yeah, I use my phone, I use alarms, that kind of basics, that's about it.
Okay, and what steps do you take to achieve this goal?
I usually break it down. I try to see whatever the goal is first. I try to see what the goal is first pretty clearly, pretty specific. So let's say I want to save $10,000. I'll try to do the math on how much I make per month. I'll break it down step by step, and I'll go backwards from the goal all the way to where can I start from there. So that's usually what I'll do is try to make the steps backwards and then try to go forward with those steps. And then usually, mistakes happen. You learn from whatever mistakes and try to alter it until I hit the goal.
And what advice would you give anyone who would want to achieve a specific goal?
There's going to be problems. There's going to be problems. Pick goals according to what you want.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kaitlyn Kenney, and you've been listening to The Think Tank.
That right there is thinking music.
Discussion is what we're good at. So, Maha, what shall we discuss today?
This week's unpopular opinion is onion rings are better than French fries. If you ask me, I disagree. There is something that's hard to resist about crispy French fries after eating a delicious burger or sandwich wrap at a restaurant or at home. French fries come in a variety of forms, such as shoestrings or wedges, and have fewer calories than onion rings at 497 calories per serving, compared to 592 calories per serving of onion rings. There's also the fact that French fries are a classic and more popular option that is easier to find, unlike onion rings. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I love French fries, especially the ones with the little ripple.
Same,
things.
the crinkle cut.
Yeah, those are really good. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can purchase the crinkle cutter from Amazon.
Yeah.
Really?
Make your own?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very picky when it comes to French fries, so I prefer onion rings in certain settings. If there's no French fries I like.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Also, Maha, if I'm eating out, I'm not looking at the calories.
Yeah. not anyway.
You like
really.
them, right?
Yeah.
You enjoy them.
Yeah. As a gluten-free person, I used to love onion rings, but they all have breading on them, so I can't eat them anymore. So French fries all the way, any kind of French fries. I'm not picky. I will eat any and all kinds of French fries. But I totally respect the...
That was a call out, Rylee.
Yeah, no, I respect your ability to dislike. And what don't you like about certain fries?
See what I have to put up with all the time?
I don't like wedge fries and stuff when there's too much potato,
Yeah.
as weird as that sounds. And there's just certain
I
things
get
about
that.
certain French fries I don't like how they taste.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can
I
order
can
potato
I can
wedges.
respect that.
Aren't
yeah.
there
The more
like
potato, the better. It's
No.
aren't there curly
Yes,
fries?
curly fries.
Those are onion rings that just didn't make the cut.
That's insulting to curly fries.
It's time for the wisdom part of our show, so we invited Donna. Okay, Donna, make me smarter.
Well, Zach, if this is how you're going to date, pay attention. I don't know about all of you, but I wouldn't want to be back in the world of dating these days. Where do you even meet people anymore? Bars? Work? Church? How about the way more than 50 million people met in 2021 with online dating? I know that people have met online. I know people that got married, are still married a decade later. And there's lots of these apps, Plenty of Fish, Bumble, Match.com. Actually, there's more than 7,500 apps worldwide. Now, I'm in no way recommending any of these sites, but I do want to talk about some red flags to be aware of for those who do. First, if someone asks you for money, run far and fast. If they warn you about themselves, saying things like, I can get a little crazy sometimes, you don't really want to find out if they're joking or not. It's not worth it. If they say I love you within a few days, or they're heavy on the sweet talk, weed those ones out. If they're very vague in their answers or they won't exchange pictures, there's usually a reason. If somebody tells you they're a millionaire, I'm the best looking, I have the best job in the world, get rid of them. They're lying. If they're very vague, just dump them. Meeting online can be great, but go slow and be smart about it. You wouldn't give your personal information to a stranger on the street, and it's the same thing, except you're online. That's it for me this week, folks. I'm Donna Tuckwell. This was your Get Smart, Stay Safe Minute. Have a great weekend.
Who's meeting at church? Hey, baby, you want to meet me down by the altar?
You were in church yesterday,
I
Zach.
was praying. The world's going to heck in a handbasket, and I'm praying.
If you want to go back in time, go check out the Chimchuk Museum. Ken Pastushin explains.
In 1954, you could have seen a matinee at the Capitol Theater for only 65 cents. For students, it was 40 cents. And when it opened in 1920 as the Lowe's Theater, a matinee was only 15 cents. This is some of the information found in the Chimchuk Museum's latest display to catch a show, Windsor Cinema and Theater History. It was designed by Garrett McGee as part of an internship for his University of Windsor public history class. Craig Cappuccioni, the coordinator of exhibits, tells us more.
We also cover a lot of great things about some of the more common theaters you may know about, stuff like the Capitol Theater, Palace Theater, the Vanity, some of these other theaters that initially were built in the 1920s and 1930s and kind of had that grand opulence of a mix between a vaudeville, play theater and eventually a movie theater for silent and then eventually feature-length films.
McGee was inspired by the recent closure of Silver City, Windsor. He says you'll find images, artifacts, and interesting tidbits from some of Windsor's earliest movie theaters. One interesting tidbit is about the old Walkerville Theatre, formerly the Tivoli. It was built in 1920 on the Windsor-Walkerville borderline. One notable artifact is a thank you letter from Walt Disney to the editor of the Windsor Star. The Star did a lot to promote the 1938 premiere of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs at the Capitol. I saw a re-release of Snow White at the Capitol in 1983, and a re-release of Star Wars in 1979 at the Palace, which is now the newsroom of the Windsor Star. There are also a couple of images showing the 1968 world premiere of The Devil's Brigade at the Vanity Theatre. It starred William Holden and Cliff Robertson and is about the first U.S.-Canadian Special Service Force during the Second World War. There was also a world premiere at the Michigan Theatre in downtown Detroit. To Catch a Show runs until August 1st. For MediaPlex Radio, I'm Ken Pastushin.
David Zura is a graduate of the journalism program. Let's catch up with him and see what he has to say.
Hi, I'm David Zura, a video journalist for City News and Breakfast Television in Vancouver. I'm also a graduate of the journalism and new media program at St. Clair College. I've been in the field now a solid 10 plus years covering local news and print on the radio as well as television and online. I feel confident about where I'm at and where I'm headed. And I'm especially grateful for the strong start I got studying at St. Clair. The truth is, news is changing, and quickly, and I wouldn't even dare to guess what the landscape will look like in 3 years, let alone 10 or 20. But my education at St. Clair prepared me for that. They were there teaching me how to deliver information in a converged environment long before the industry was actually there. Nowadays, it's not at all uncommon for me to be live on location for the early show, then shoot and edit a story before anchoring the late show, all while providing content for our radio sister station on the web. Now, I graduated before the MediaPlex opened in downtown Windsor, but I've seen it for myself, and it's a beautiful facility that uses the same tech that we use here. If you're thinking of getting into the news business, I absolutely recommend taking a look at St. Clair College. Not only did I have fun while I was there, but much more importantly, they put me face to face with the company that would become my first full-time employer. And to tell you the truth, I also am an example of someone who needed help. I was working while I was a student, and some years I studied full-time, others part-time, even taking a break and completing courses online before finishing. I won't lie, sometimes I asked for a lot, but they worked with me, and we got it done. I left with my diploma in hand, truly believing that they care just as much about my success as I did, and you know what? That's special. So yeah, I recommend St. Clair College. It's one of the best decisions I ever made, and it set me up to be where I am today.
Zach has a reputation for his weird news, but this segment is Views and Reviews. We'll judge later if it's weird or not.
Hey everybody, it's that part of the show where I get to give you my take on movies, new and old, and music and TV as well. That's right, time for Zach's Views and Reviews. I start with the movie The Campaign, starring Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis. This 2012 film is about two men running for Congress, and the incumbent Ferrell just has one misstep after another. The part I liked about this film is that there was always a surprise. The downside is they could have fictionalized it a little more. I give it 4 Z's. Moving on to TV, where I talk about The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is a show that revolves around Miriam Midge Maisel, a Jewish housewife living in New York trying to make it big in stand-up comedy, and also her manager Susie. The pros is the relationship between Midge and her manager Susie. The con, the show could be a lot funnier. However, I give it 4 Z's. For music, I got a chance to listen to the song Heart First by Kelsey Ballerini. This song details the narrator meeting a guy and going on a first date, or going in heart first. This song is a good one, however, it's a little too poppy for country radio. I give it 3.5 Z's. That's this edition. Take us out, Kelsey.
His body on the way to get a drink at the bar. I couldn't wait till later, talking in the elevator, then we're kissing in the back of the car. That voice in my head says to slow down, but it can't see the way you're looking at me right now.
Let's join Tyler Stein as he dives into the world of media to tell you about the heroes behind the lens and mics that make the magic happen.
Welcome to the very first episode of Roll Credits. I'm Tyler Stein, and this is the podcast where I take you through an analysis of different media and giving credit where it's due. Today, I'll be talking about the film 1917, a movie set in the year of the title during World War I or the Great War. We follow two young soldiers in the British Army that are given special mission to prevent a battalion from being ambushed. The movie was directed and co-written by Sam Mendes, known for Skyfall and Spectre in the Daniel Craig James Bond movies and for American Beauty. I think he got great performances from the actors in this film and clearly executed his vision of what he wanted this story to be. Speaking of performances, I thought that the main actors were extraordinary. The two Lance Corporals, Blake, played by Dean Charles Chaplin, known for his performance as Tommen Baratheon in Game of Thrones, and Schofield, played by George McKay, who has been gathering accolades for his acting in British film. I commend the casting director for these two compared to the other big-name British actors that appear in the movie. I think they both express their emotions and reactions to events in the film very well. The other standout aspect of the movie is the cinematography. I cannot stress how much that the camera work impressed me. I knew going into the film that the style of it was to emulate the entirety of it as one continuous shot. I thought that it was going to be a gimmick, but I didn't believe it until I saw it with my own eyes. I tried to keep vigilant and spot where they cut or edited shots together, but I couldn't for many of the scenes. The perspective that the audience takes feels real, and I think that the continuous shot contributes to that immensely to maintain immersion. And the immersion is well kept by the use of light and sound. For the most part, natural or practical light is used in almost every scene. The light of lanterns, sunlight peeking through windows or holes in the walls, all cement the events taking place as something real we're being witness to. The gunshots, explosions, engines, fire, all were very crisp and resounded in bass in the theater. And the silence is used very cleverly to hold tension and suspense. The score was well placed in emotional scenes, and honestly, the silence without the music really contributed to the emotion in scenes as well. Even the costumes and set design felt real. All of the soldiers wore their uniforms, but everyone had differences in the way that they wore it that felt genuine. The continuity of costumes over the course of the movie was very well done as well. Every scene had some sort of consequence or effect that carried over to the next seamlessly. Specific mud or dirt stains in their jackets and pants can be seen throughout the film until something happens to that article of clothing or what have you. The trenches, bunkers, and buildings were dirty, worn, and it felt and looked like a war had been raging in these areas for a long time. The only criticism I have of this film is the CGI, where animals in the film are pretty easy to identify as special effects along with some of the background visuals that I believe were green screened in. However, I thought that the practical effects were top-notch. Explosions, corpses, injuries all looked visceral and had an impact. The last thing that I wanted to touch on is the story. Usually it's talked about first, but I wanted to speak on the other aspects before we hit the story because 1917 is so well-rounded. From the first moments of the film to the final fade to black, you learn things about Blake and Schofield that explain their actions, reactions, and feelings that they exhibited throughout the story by their characters. Well, that closes up this episode. I hope you enjoyed this review of 1917. I'm Tyler, and I'll see you next time on Roll Credits.
Hey Rylee, curious minds want to know, it's time for...
Hey Morgan, it's time to spill the tea!
This past Monday was the first Monday of May, which meant it was time for the annual Met Gala fundraiser. The Met Gala is fashion's biggest night and all the stars stepped out in their best ensembles. The theme for this year was Gilded Glamour, which basically means showing off your wealth and fame through your clothes. But I won't bore you with a history lesson. Instead, let's talk outfits, since that's what the Met is all about. Emma Chamberlain looked like a true queen in a cropped corset and long white skirt, and even topped it off with a tiara. I swear that girl can rock anything. Billie Eilish looked drop-dead gorgeous in a floor-length gown topped with a corset and green lace sleeves, and it truly looked like she stepped out of a painting from the 1930s. Sabrina Carpenter stunned in her first Met appearance by wearing a sparkly silver crop top and a gold skirt with a train so long you could probably ride it. I truly can't get over her look. Blake Lively pulled out all the stops by wearing a beautiful copper detailed gown with a bow on the bottom, which when untied on the red carpet revealed an amazing baby blue color. Blake said her look was inspired by everything New York, and I can tell you it really was everything. Of course, if you Google Met Gala 2022, you will find all the incredible looks of the night, and I think you'll be in just as much awe as I was. I'm Morgan, and that's the tea.
Using their clothes to show off their fame and fortune. Isn't that every award show?
I think so.
Thanks, Morgan. The Girl from Ipanema is probably one of the most famous jazz standards of all time. But the song has an interesting past, as well as two interesting stories behind it. A Garota de Ipanema, as it's known in Portuguese, is a Brazilian bossa nova song written by Antonio Carlos Jobim and Vinicius de Moraes. The song was written in 1962, and the story goes that the songwriters were watching people on the beach in Rio de Janeiro when they saw a young 17-year-old girl named Eloisa Pinheiro. It is widely believed that she is the girl from Ipanema, and that the song is inspired by her. Now in her 70s, she has received widespread fame and was even a torchbearer for the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio. The song was recorded in 1963 by a pair of jazz musicians, João Gilberto, who played guitar and sang, and Stan Getz, a saxophone player. Gilberto brought along his wife Astrid to the recording session. While in studio, the pair had an idea to sing a verse of the song in English rather than the original Brazilian Portuguese. Astrid was the only person in the room who could speak English, so she sang on the recording along with her husband. Astrid had sung before, but never on a professional recording. The song kick-started her career and brought her international fame. The song went on to win the Grammy Award for Record of the Year in 1965. It is believed that Girl from Ipanema is responsible for bringing Brazilian bossa nova into mainstream American culture. The song is now known by some as elevator music, due to its use as smooth jazz in elevator scenes in movies. In reality, Girl from Ipanema is actually a very complex song, with very unconventional harmonies and rhythms, and is far from basic or boring. Following its release in 1964, the song exploded in popularity, and is now the second most recorded pop song in history, after Yesterday by the Beatles. If you'd like to hear it for yourself, make sure you listen to the original recording, which is the best one. And that's the story behind the song.
But it's dark when she walks to the sea. She looks straight ahead, not at me.
Well, it's the time of show we all wait for. Zach is here to share his wacky, zany world with all of us. Zach?
It's Friday, and that means it's time for it's Friday, which means it's time for the weirdest news found on the internet. That's right, it's time for weird news. Again, I got excited. In this day and age, I think it is appropriate to fight crazy with crazy. A group of students started a conspiracy theory called Birds Aren't Real, which is a parody designed to draw attention to other online theories. Peter McIndoe said that the birds are drones designed to control you, and they are designed by the government. I don't know, the seagulls who stole my fries seemed very real, and I think my onion rings have gone missing too. From birds to Florida, it's time for...
Florida Man, Florida Man, does whatever a Florida man can. Look out, here comes the Florida Man.
A fishing trip went completely wrong for two friends from Miami. A 31-year-old man was changing his clothes in the woods while his friend went to the car. The friend attempted to scare the other guy by jumping out from behind the car. What could go wrong? His friend then grabbed a gun and shot the other in the stomach. He was flown to the Jackson South Medical Center. I mean, what are friends for, really? That's the weirdness for this week. Oh, it's time for This Week in Puns. I once met a pig that did karate. We called him Pork Chop. I'm Zachary Balough. You cannot make this stuff up.
Thank you, Zach, and thank you for tuning in.
You've been listening to MediaPlex Live
on CJM 99.1, redefining radio in Windsor, Detroit.
On today's show, we have had contributions from
Maha Hussien,
Lauren Briscoe,
Kaitlyn Kenney,
David Zura,
Donna Tuckwell,
Tyler Stein,
and Morgan Hurt. I'm Rylee Livingston, and he's Zach Balough. Woo! See you next week, CJMers.
That was easy.